Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back at Rejuvenate Edition 5. I've got a very special guest here today with me. I'm so excited. And most of all, I'm very honored that he has agreed to come on the show and spend time with us today. Filipo, let me give a quick introduction before I say hello. Filipo is a leader and former international rugby captain for Manu Samoa, with over 13 years of playing experience, represented the Super Rugby team in the Highlanders, provincial teams, Otago and Tasman Marcos, mouthful. He played in Japan for Tokyo teams, Ricoh Black Rams, and played for the Newcastle Falcons and the Nottingham Rugby in England, Ospreys in Swansea, Wales. You name it, he has done it, he has played it, all the famous stadiums in the world. Filipo understands what it takes for teams to perform in high-pressure situations. Now, having played against some of the most revered teams and players in the world, Filipo has experienced the sheer physical and mental intensity needed to face such monumental challenges. Rugby, it's seriously, it's amazing, and challenges such as facing the All Blacks haka. Now that's something I want to get into with him as well later on. Filipo has also translated this experience into various high-performance programs, helping clients unleash their true potential and paving the way towards both personal and professional success. Now, he is passionate in helping leaders build strong, resilient teams, equipping and empowering people to overcome challenges and be successful. Now, what does all that mean? We will also get into detail in a short bit. But what I'm also most interested to find out is this very interesting fact here. In 2011, Filipo was bestowed with the ancient Samoan chief Tulafale Orator speaking title of Mulitalo from the village of Lano in Savi, Samoa. The Samoan chief system is over 3,000 years old, and a Tulafale chief title is one to lead by serving the people. Now, this is also what Rejuvenate is all about. We are here to serve the youths. We are here to serve the community in terms of enriching them with great content, and I hope we've been doing that for the past 5 editions. Without further ado, Filipo, Talafo Lava. Did I get that right?
Yes. Hey, the Salamat Petang.
Fantastic. And just so the audiences know, we did not practice this. We did not get into the conversation of this is what I'm going to say and this is what you're going to reply me in return. It just shows how borderless the world is today, and with technology, and obviously Filipo is currently in New Zealand. He's 5 hours ahead of us. So big thank you for spending your evening with us. And it's obviously lunchtime here, but it's fantastic. Skies are blue, and the sun is out. I hope the weather in New Zealand is also great.
Yeah. Look, Andrew, I'm very humbled and very grateful for being invited to speak to you, and also to people in Malaysia, or those who are on your show and those who are watching. So very humbled, and I'm very grateful that you invited me. So yeah, especially with the teams you've said, there's a saying that I always hold true, is that it's a Samoan saying. It goes, ele sili le ta'i, ilo le tapua'i, which translates as one cannot achieve without others to succeed. So we need people to succeed, especially in these COVID times.
Fantastic, Filipo. I am so glad you mentioned that, and I will try my best in the next couple of weeks to learn that entire sentence that you have just mentioned, because that truly holds true. And I totally agree with you that, and in today's climate, in what the world is experiencing today, we should all come together. And there's no better way than to use sports to unite everyone. And I'm sure you will agree with me on that.
Yeah, I mean, sports is a very it's a language. It's a universal language. And as I was preparing for this talk, as most things, you have to do your research on Malaysia. And one thing I know is that we are connected in terms of our language. Our Malayo-Polynesian language is connected to the Austronesian language. So 4 or 5,000 years ago, we came out of Asia to Taiwan and migrated down towards Southeast Asia, to Philippines, to Malaysia, Indonesia, and across to the Pacific. So I guess we are long lost cousins, and sports is something that we can really connect with. In terms of the games I've seen in Malaysia, like squash, badminton, I've seen some of your heroes, like the likes of what's her name? I'm trying to figure out the top of my head. Leo Chong Wei, is that it?
Yes,
Yes, and also another one is Nicole David.
that's right. That's right.
Yes, so there's a very famous people that I know who are very famous in Malaysia and in the world, and through the Olympics, Commonwealth Games to what I do is or what I've done in the past in terms of rugby.
Great, fantastic, Filippo. Now, very quickly, I want to jump into perhaps finding out a little bit about your background, your childhood. How did you end up being in New Zealand? I'm sure there's a very interesting story to that. Perhaps you would like to share with us?
Yeah, like in the 1950s, many of the Polynesian families migrated to New Zealand. So my family, we migrated in the 70s to New Zealand. So being raised up in New Zealand pretty much most of my life. So I'm sort of that first generation New Zealander Samoan. So there's a whole lot of us who've come here, and in the last 20 years, there's been also a migration from Southeast Asia coming into New Zealand. So there's going to be this whole mixture of cultures. So yeah, so I come through the legacy of my parents, like most migrant families, in search of opportunities, of economy, of education, to send money back to the islands and to provide for their families, because most things in the Samoan culture, it's all about servant mindset. It's all about servant leadership. And so to be a leader, you serve the people. It's not they serve you, you serve the people. And it doesn't stop. It's a continuous until you go away somewhere, but that's what we do. And I guess that's the connection I think we have with Malaysia and Asian cultures, family being very important to us, religions also, and our food. Food is very important.
Could you give us an idea of what kind of Samoan food do you have? Some popular or famous or must have, I suppose.
Yeah, look, I think over the last 150 years, our diet has changed. Like as we all know, with the introduction of a Western diet, but also in Samoa itself, the Chinese migrants who came to Samoa in the 1800s, they sort of came into through colonization, through moving in the indentured laborers into Samoa to work on the land. So many of the Chinese families or men stayed on, and also what's happened is that a lot of the Chinese dishes have ended up being Samoan dishes. Like for example, one famous dish is chop suey, or we call it in Samoan, we call it sapasui. But it doesn't have many vegetables. We're very like all about meat. So I guess that's a famous dish. Another dish is also luau. Luau is like a coconut cream wrapped in sort of coconut leaves, and also breadfruit, a bit of salt, salt water. It's really fresh, really, just really, organic. A lot of us as well. We eat a lot of taro, which is very common among Asia and Pacific. But in Samoa, we have big taros as big as this. So I guess that's why we sort of grew a bit bigger than everyone else. So those are some of the main dishes, and also protein, pork, chicken as well. It's a lot of seafood. At the moment, there's a Samoan delicacy called palolo, which is a bit of a, it's like it's every season. So this time it's a season where there's sort of like a shrimp thing. It sort of appears from out of nowhere, and it goes away. So there's only a few certain times of the year where it appears, and then the villagers go in and pick them up with the nets, buckets, and they sell them. It's a bit of the delicacy in Samoa.
Very interesting, very interesting, and rightly so. As you mentioned, that there are quite a number of similarities in that sense with the way we eat our food and prepare our food as well. So there's something for me to explore, obviously, in the coming future. Now, I guess I want to find out from you. When did rugby started for you, and how did you get how you got yourself started with rugby, and I guess to then segue into were there any other sports that were available for you to choose from at that time, or was rugby that one and only option?
I think growing up in New Zealand or in the Pacific, rugby is only big in a certain only 3 or 4 or 5 countries around the world, but it is a growing sport in a lot of other countries. So because in New Zealand rugby is number one, it's played from a young age, from when you're at primary school, from 5 years old to until you leave high school at 18 or 19, and then you go into the system, you go into the club system. So it's sort of something I sort of fell into because all my friends went into it. So they went into it, so I went into it, followed them, and you sort of follow them around. So it didn't take anything really seriously at the high school. I played many other sports. I played soccer. I played a bit of I was a bit of a goalkeeper. They probably used me for my height, so and also to scare the opposition. So I guess it's because I'm 6'5", I'm 120 odd kilograms. That does scare quite a few people. So played a lot of volleyball, basketball, cricket, and a lot of athletics as well, discus, javelin, shot puts, the odd run, but not that fast over 100 meters. I'm fast over 30, 40 meters, but I sort of slow down after that. So yeah, so many sports I did try at high school, and I didn't really take it seriously until I was maybe 17, 18. So before then I was trying every other sport, just having fun with friends, and then after a while I sort of narrowed it down to rugby as something that I wanted to pursue and achieve a goal.
Do you remember your first competitive game of rugby?
First competitive, if you're talking about professional, yes, yes, that was against the Crusaders, who are one of the champion teams of pretty much the world. They're one of the best teams. They have a winning ratio of 80, 90%. They've won so many titles. Wow. And so they're the first team I played against, and I played against one of my school friends, Richie McCaw, who became a legend in All Blacks. So we went to school at high school together. So, but when I played against him, he just played the same way at high school. But I guess his pathway went that way, and then I sort of went that way. So I always remember the game because it was pretty much a welcome to professional sports, welcome to 40, 50,000 people watching, and pressure.
Pressure. Okay, we will go into pressure in a short while. Now, I'm so excited when I speak to former athletes of any sport in that matter that I love to ask them, especially in a game of rugby. Do you remember your first tackle or your first time being really hit hard by someone, and then you perhaps 1,001 things went through your head. Perhaps one of it was like, oh my goodness, why am I even playing rugby?
I think you're talking about my mum. She's I'm just kidding. Just kidding. She can probably hear me. I think when you play amateur level and you go to being a professional and you travel the world, playing in South Africa, you play against some very big people, big men. So you have to adapt and adjust how you tackle. Because if you go too high on big guys who are similar size, it's going to be a bit of a wrestle. So the best way to tackle big guys like myself is to tackle low, tackle the legs. So yeah, so you do come across against different teams who have different tactics, different strategies. But I guess a lot of tactics for New Zealand teams is to run the ball really for, and use our skills to try and find space. So we always want to find space because we know the opposition will grow tired as the game endures. And yeah, so yeah, I do remember playing different oppositions. But also playing at a Super Rugby level, it's very intense. Like I said before, you're with 14 others plus you 15, and then you have to also you're facing against another 15 opposition and plus the referee. Um, so you have to sort of had to adjust as you do against the opposition.
Yeah. You've played in multiple countries and multiple leagues. Is there one where you thoroughly enjoyed, or would you say you've had a great, fantastic 13 years career and you've enjoyed them all?
Yeah, I like the yes, I liked playing in Japan. Um, So Japan was a eye opener because again I didn't speak the language, but it didn't take me long to actually learn and to adapt to the way they do things. They're very similar values to Samoan, very respectful, humility, serving others. So especially if you're the elders or people who are senior of you, having respect of them, which is very similar to the Samoan culture. So it was easy for me to adapt to their culture. For their language, the language was the vowels were very similar to Polynesian vowels like a, e, I, o, u. So I got to learn that pretty quickly, but also taking lessons. I had to take a one-on-one lessons with a tutor over the last for two seasons, 2 years. So that made me really aware of how they played rugby, how they spoke, also how they ate together, and also how they socialized, and also it's just a very respectful culture, and I really liked playing against the opposition.
Is there a favorite stadium of yours throughout your 13 years of playing?
Oh, first stadium. Look, probably Auckland, in Auckland, New Zealand. So probably Eden Park, which is the New Zealand's rugby sort of national park, as they say. So it's the home of the All Blacks, but it's a place that I've had good memories playing for Samoa against Fiji. Also playing for the Highlanders when we beat the local team many years ago, which they weren't too happy about. So always hold memories of playing in the Blues, playing against the Blues, but also in England, playing at Twickenham, playing against England a few times. You have huge crowds, 70, 80,000 people crammed in, singing their English songs, which I don't understand. But yeah, so it was very enjoyable. Just there's too many grandstands to remember, but those two are sort of the ones that stand out.
Fantastic. I'm sure you have many more fond memories of your playing days, and I guess earlier in the introduction I talked about facing challenges like the All Blacks haka. For those of us who don't play rugby or have not had the opportunity to be in a stadium where the All Blacks are playing, even watching it through YouTube or on live television, the haka itself is extremely intimidating.
Yeah,
I suppose
yeah.
what goes through your mind when you're right in front of them and
Yeah, if I can share the screen,
Yes,
my
sure.
slide,
Go ahead.
just the first picture. So this is us. This is our sivatau, which is the Samoan version of the haka. So when you're facing the opposition, especially when it's the All Blacks, who are the number one team consistently for 20, 30 years, they are consistently at the top of their game. And when we play them, we have to adjust our mentality in terms of how we adapt. So when we adapt to them, we need to make sure our attitude's right. Because if the attitude's not, if it's not there, if it's not on point, the mindset's not there, then we know that we're not ready for what's going to come. To have a strong mindset, we have to sort of be ready mentally, the way we prepare for them. I guess when you're facing them and being the captain of facing the All Blacks haka, it is scary. It is something you want to protect your team, but you know you can only do as much as making sure that you can do your own job. So I guess So I guess it's something that's not many people face in their lives, but when you do, it's experience. Then I can say that enjoyable, but also frightening at the same time.
One question: are you anywhere in that picture?
I'm not sure. Maybe somewhere. No, we look the same.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, the culture of having the haka in a rugby game is truly one, to remember, and it's such a privilege, I suppose, for you to really experience it live and even performing it. Now, would you like to go to the next slide, or
Yes, please. Yeah, that'd be good. Thank you.
Okay.
So as we, I know the topic is about tackling your,
Yes.
The success and stuff, and I guess the most important thing as well is the rugby, is the sport, but also the other important thing is when we finish sports. So, and I know me and you, Andrew, we spoke about what happens when you finish sport.
Yep.
What happens after life? What happens when you've done all the tackling?
Correct.
Done all the tackling, done all the training, and as most things, you have to plan out, and it's very difficult when you're trying to plan because there are so many things happening in your life, family to coaches to contracts to injuries to your own mindset, to your own form, how you're playing at the moment. But also what you see in the future. So I knew my time was pretty much finished in 2011 because I was 32. I've had 12 years, and I had one more contract after that. So I knew for Samoa that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until after that I after many years later, I thought about how do you, this transitioning out of sports. It's very difficult mentally. It's something that it's happening now on COVID. Everyone's not only sports, but many people are leaving their jobs for different jobs with they have a certain purpose. They have values that they hold on to, that their values align. So with athletes or those who are finishing careers, I thought I'll create some sort of framework and of my own journey. So as you can see here, I've got 4 things sort of I want to talk about just briefly. So we have personal responsibility. So as most things, you are responsible for how you play, of how you prepare, and how you play. So as being responsible for your own form, you need to be responsible for how you transition out, and it's all about the timing, but also having the attitude to able to start to think ahead, to visualize ahead, to see what's there. For most athletes, we are in our own bubble. It's almost like being in lockdown. You're in your own bubble, and we don't know anything until we actually leave the bubble to see what's really out there. So for 13 years, I was in my own bubble. Like listening to Nicole David's her journey, she spent 17, 18 years, and she in 2017 she decided, she needed to leave, transition out, because her coach told her, I think the coach told her, I remember this saying that if she really needs to think about her sport, and I think she really thought about it, and so she decided, after having a bit of an emotional breakdown, that she was going to have 2 years to transition out and then retire in 2019. So that's taking personal responsibility, understanding the timing, understanding but your attitude, whether your attitude's there, there to perform at a high level, or if it's not, it needs to be seen. Only you will know that. So I guess that's why I've put personal responsibility. Okay, if we can stop that share, yep. Just come back. So I guess with most things with timing, it's you need to have a map, So the map is about having that mindset I spoke about. And when I talk about mindset, when we're in our bubble for a long time as an athlete, or in your career for a long time, we tend to have this mindset, which is a fixed mindset, which is a very well-known term by Professor Carol Dweck. We talk about having this fixed mindset where there's only one way of doing things. There's only my way or the highway.
Or the highway.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So, and where is the alternative of the mindset is to have that growth mindset. And with the growth mindset is having a challenge mindset as well, which is similar to growth mindset, where the challenge mindset is to understand you need to get out of this bubble. You need to have a challenge yourself to understand that we need a map. We need to start to plan this out. So it all comes down to the attitude, but it's also about planning as well. So this is me when we faced the All Blacks after haka. So this is Conrad Smith. So he's just retired a few years ago. So this is him running for a try. This is me chasing him. So so this is a game that we faced the All Blacks, and we didn't have our front line. We had 90% of our players who were not available to play the All Blacks. So I had to really dig in really deep and have an attitude to serve the people, serve the team. How do you, if you're out there listening, imagine you turning up to work and no one's there, only yourself maybe, and maybe the person at the cafeteria. So it's about having that attitude in terms of personal responsibility. This is a time where we did take responsibility, but also about when we do finish sports. And all sports, regardless if it's rugby, hockey, badminton, or football, soccer, squash. There's another game in Malaysia you play, the one you kick the ball over the net.
Sepak takraw?
Yeah, that's the game that I would never play that game. Why? Because I'm 120 odd kilograms and I'll probably hurt myself. So this is about the purpose. What's the purpose of a team? So we go down to understand, to understand who we are. Who we are as a team. So this is coming together. And all of us here are retired. Many of us have retired to recent retirees. Some have retired over 20 years. But this is a game where we played the former All Blacks. So this was last year, and end of last year after our first lockdown, we came out and we could play again. But we got together because what's really important is that in the month of November, which is coming up, it's not celebrating. We support mental health for men, especially for men's mental health. It's a big issue globally with men with depression. There's the word suicide, people taking their lives, and there's many other issues and stresses of our life, and we can't get away from the facts, from the data which is out there. In New Zealand, we have a high rate of depression and a high rate of mental illness. And for this, the game was played against the former All Blacks, and this was to support the match fit team, who were the former All Blacks. As you can see there at the front in the black team, they have Case Muse, who's a friend of mine, and there's also Carlos Spencer, legends of the All Blacks, and that's myself and my friend at the back, and we're running out into Eden Park.
Oh, nice.
So this is us coming out, and we have. Remember, I've been 7-8 years retired, So coming out, I'm thinking, oh, please don't trip up when I'm running out. So, I'm thinking, oh no, I'm very uncoordinated. I haven't really practiced all my micro skills and muscles that haven't been used for many years. So,
You
so
know,
yeah, this is us running out.
this is 7, 8 years after you have retired, correct?
Yes, this is the last year. Yeah, so I retired in 2013,
Yeah.
and then this was last year, so about 2020.
Yeah. And look at you. You fit as a fiddle.
Oh, look, I try to eat healthy, and I try to keep away from the KFC. But but I guess no, I guess I've got a great wife, and my mum lives down the road. So this is a great photo, and this summarizes pretty much what it's about. Especially in this time of COVID, especially in times of finishing up, transitioning out of sports, out of your career. This is me connecting with friends that I played with, that I played against, legends of All Blacks rugby. But we're actually talking about mental health here. We are talking about transitioning and how tough it is. These are, they say that men don't cry, but this is a picture that paints 1,000 words for me, because you have two guys who are vulnerable. And also myself, we were sharing, we're sharing our own struggles, and also, how we're going, how's the family. It's going below the surface, rather than the surface level stuff. You have to dig a bit deeper. You have to, don't scratch the surface. You need to dig a bit deeper by sort of by talking to the heart, speak to the heart, because when you speak to the heart, then people, they engage with you, because it's a heart to heart talk.
Yes.
So that's a very so this is a very strong very strong picture for not only myself but also people out there who are listening. If there are people there they need to connect with, at a heart to heart stage of their lives, especially in COVID. Huge challenges we're facing.
And this is one of who are these people?
These guys are the former All Blacks. So as you can see, the short guy there looks very black. That's a former All Black coach. He's a World Cup winning coach, Graham Henry. So Sir Graham Henry. So he coached this team that we played. So a lot of these guys I've known. So this is them training for 6 or 8 weeks, but we only had one training. And they had like 6 or 8 weeks together, and so they always had a head start. But that's not that's never an excuse. But we just had to come prepared. So as most things, it is about being confident, about your confidence as a player, but also what you're able to do in this time. Like I mentioned before, how do you go from your own bubble to now adapting to what's new? And I've mentioned before about being adaptable, able to leave the comfort, able to have a vision, have a goal, and also to connect with others. And that's why we have relationships. Relationships are so important. There's a Maori proverb. The Maori people are indigenous to New Zealand, and they say that the saying goes, "He aha te mea o te ao, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata." What is the most important thing in the world? It is people. It is people. It is people. Relationships, so important now. And also with the kindness. When we're in the saying in sport, when you go up in the ladder of your sporting career, make sure you be kind to those that you see on the way. Because when you come back down the stairs, you will see the same people.
Oh, yes. Yes. And I think that applies not just in sports, and whether it's the corporate world, the working world, or anything at all. I totally agree with you, Filipo.
Yeah. So be confident of what you have. So having this arc, adaptability, relationships, and kindness is really key to some of how you transition out. It's about tackling the success of your career. You don't want to be successful just in one career. You want to be successful in your next career, your next one, your next one. You want to be keep on adapting, keep on changing, having the growth mindset, keep those relationships going, meeting the right people, meeting the positive people, people who can challenge you, who can move you forward, not move you back, but also being also kind to yourself.
Yes, totally agree. Now we've also got a couple more pictures to show. I love to see it as well. Let's take a look at the next set.
So this is us just coming together. As most things, this is talking about the relationships, about finishing a game, and connecting with. As you can notice, we're many males, but this is us celebrating together. The Barbarians team and the former All Blacks match fit team coming together to celebrate with each other. So I guess in Malaysia, if you were there, or really, if you're been locked down, really cherish those moments when you meet with others, when you're going to your social club, when you retire, you're moving into giving back. How do you give back to to others, to the young people? How do you serve? By volunteering, and that's the big thing. You need to volunteer. Volunteering is something that's it's a heart of sports, amateur sports,
Yes.
but also it's a stepping stone to others, to giving the others. Because I know without so many people who supported me, volunteer to coach me, to give me to give me oranges at the halftime, to give me water, give me a ride to the if I'm running late or something. There's hundreds of people that I need to be aware of who have helped me. So it's never about me. It's always about others. This is when I transitioned into my second job, to rugby. So one thing I know, and we spoke about it, Andrew, we spoke about the importance of education.
Yes.
And in terms of education, my father, he really pushed us in education, and I wasn't the best student at school. I'd rather be playing sports, or but there was a few subjects I did like. I like art, and I liked a bit of writing, a bit of reading. So I guess it wasn't until I finished high school and I started going to university, I started to understand the importance of discipline, importance of having goals, especially knowing when when I need a career, when I finish sports, what am I going to do? So when I finished university, after many years, it took me many years, that's where I transitioned out. And then I wanted to give back to students for a few years. So this was me when we started to nearly 3 years ago, I transitioned out into public speaking.
Yep.
So this is coming out for me to really start to ingrain a lot of the high performance habits of sports to transitioning it and putting it into corporates, putting into frameworks where people can understand that there's a relationships between sports and business. Both are the same. Both have KPIs, have key performance indicators.
Yep.
Both have outcomes. Both have goals. With most things, you got to have a vision. But also, most important thing that I understand working with corporates is that the communication. We can take it for granted that people have been communicated with, but in fact, many people have not been communicated the right way. This is the Venn technology. Venn technology are one of the next unicorn companies in the global world. So I think unicorn companies are like $1 billion company out of New Zealand. So I think they're halfway there. So this is me giving a talk on facing the haka.
Right.
So very multicultural group, very diverse group there. So there's a whole bunch of them. So I grabbed some of them. As I presented my rugby jerseys to them. As you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 jerseys here. All those 10 jerseys I have represented, or I have played against the opposition, and I've able to swap the jerseys.
Nice.
So the reason why I've done this, because when you, like I said again, when you're facing the All Blacks haka, you have memories. But this is also about the legacy of others, the legacy of yourself as an athlete, of what happens when when you're finished your career. So these are really this is the stuff that I really cherish and really and I use for my props for my talk.
Fantastic.
I said before about kindness and also it's not how you treat people, but also how you communicate with them. Before I mentioned about communication, this is about another Samoan word, which is it says e pala ma'a e le pala upu. Even stones decay, but words endure. So be careful what you say. Especially in these times when people are very vulnerable. Especially at home when sometimes lockdown can be quite frustrating. So, got to be very mindful of what's happening around us, rather than rather than um, rather than saying things out there which men have a problem with. But also just to think about it. Actually really think about what's really what's really happening now. What are some words I can use that can really empower, can really inspire. Words have a love language, which is which could mean anything for each person. But love language could mean the words you say of how you treat others, but how you serve, how you cook, how you make things, how you do certain tasks to ensure that the system in the house or somewhere else is doing well. In the Pacific, kava is a traditional root from a tree, which is a bark, which gets grated down and grinded into a bit of a flour. And the flour, you can mix it, and then you mix it into a drink, which is called kava. Kava is a traditional, ancient tradition where in the Pacific countries, notably Samoa, Tonga, and Fiji, they have traditions of welcoming guests and special people from overseas or teams where they bring them in for a formal setting and they welcome them with a formal kava ceremony. Kava is also found in many other places and across the Pacific, but it's something that it's about acknowledging who we are, but also there's traditions to things, but also about respecting other people and understanding who they are. This one is the All Blacks as we this is them learning about Samoan cooking. So this is them peeling a banana, which is which is a raw banana, which is cooked. It's a bit like it's boiled, and you got to take it off by the skin by using a knife. So this is practicing, and this is about adapting, understanding other cultures and diversity. And New Zealand it's becoming very diverse, not as diverse as Malaysia, but with the influence of many other Southeast Asian cultures, Pacific cultures, European cultures. We're coming to understand each other. We're a very young country, so this is about our top rugby team understanding who we are as a people and come together to celebrate and understand others by engaging and also having that cultural capacity to actually understand where others come from in the team.
Right.
As I said before, it's about leadership. It's about serving. I said people are not there to be told what to do, but to serve. But also to how do you empower them. And it's about the biggest thing now for us is to sow these leadership seeds of serving, of empowering others, but also the well-being factor is huge, especially with mental health, with so many things happening with COVID, lockdowns, with health, physical health, mental health. It's really important now, and people need to adjust. People need to understand that they're there to serve people, not the people to serve them. So this is all about leadership. And this is about pretty much how it summarizes my whole talk about sowing those seeds, sowing, empowering others, and the well-being. Well-being is also not about others, but also about you. Understanding how you matter, how you taking care of yourself.
It's, okay. Now, do we want to talk about your book now, or you want to keep that
That's
for
right.
later?
Yeah, we'll keep it for later.
Okay, sure.
No
If
worries.
that's the case, now I've got a couple of questions here on the chat already, and I would like to address them before we move on. First question here is from Julia. It says here, "Hi Filippo, would you find it disrespectful if others were to do the haka since it is exclusive to the Maori culture?"
Yes, it is very disrespectful if you use it I guess, yeah, it is disrespectful of taking other people's culture. It's the cultural appropriation, where you do take others' cultures and tend to, and then take it as your own. And I guess it's very important. I think Maori have, their culture has been, been used across the whole world from Versace. A lot of Italian designers have used advertisements of women doing a haka, of poking their tongues, which is not allowed. You're not allowed to poke tongues if you're a woman. There's so many cultural things that I'm not. I'm not an expert in Maori culture. I am Samoan, so I'm mindful of what I'm saying, but also what I know from my friends and what of myself doing the haka. So you need to understand what's the meaning, what's the actual tradition, what do the words mean, where do these words link in history, how does it relate to the past, the present, and the future. So so answer your question, yeah, it is. It's very controversial to use other people's cultures, especially Maori who are a minority. But also it's a very sensitive topic. I guess for the Samoan haka, it's not such a big issue, but I guess our most famous probably Samoan actor or athlete is The Rock. So The Rock tends to do the haka on movies, on his last movie, on his fast
Yes.
movies, Fast and Furious. So he got his friend to do the haka. So look, that's fine. Some people did say that was not appropriate, but hey, he is giving back to his Samoan culture. So
Yeah.
I guess it depends, but we are different. We are different cultures. So yeah. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah. The next question I have is from Samuel. Have you ever regretted choosing rugby?
No, I have thought about. I mentioned before I played many sports at high school. I always thought I'll go to the Olympics and do discus or javelin because I was okay. I was okay. I didn't take it seriously, but when I did, I trained hard to do discus and to do shot put but also javelin and but also the biggest problem now I think many youth children are put into academies. So there's a lot of research now coming out of a lot of colleges, universities that say that many kids who are put into academies at a young age, 8, 9, 10 years old, who go through the system, these people are burnt out by the time they're 15, 16.
Exactly.
So there's a big push here with soccer academies, rugby academies, but the research shows that people get put off by being pushed too hard at an elite level. We're treating 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds as professional athletes.
Yeah.
We have to be careful because they're still developing as a person. So I guess for me, playing different sports and not really taking things seriously. I did take things seriously, but wasn't to a point where I was 17, 18, 19 years old. I was getting, I thought I was okay. I can really push rugby.
Okay.
Then I started to pursue it, and then I stuck at it, and I just had a goal to do the best I can.
Great. Next question. How has the pandemic and technology changed the way you conduct your coaching? So I guess this is the part where we talk about your business leadership coaching portion of it. Obviously the whole of a year and a half, you've not been able to get into physical events and to do face-to-face. The picture that you showed earlier, 10 of them wearing your jerseys that you have personally used in matches, and those that you have exchanged and swapped with other players as well. I think those kind of experience in a coaching session, far outweighs the being in a Zoom call per se. So how has all that changed for you?
Well, it has changed dramatically. I guess the last sort of quarter we've been in lockdown in Auckland. So before that, I was doing face-to-face meetings. So we weren't so affected by the lockdowns.
Okay.
Last year we were locked down for a few months. This year it's been the longest. So over the last sort of 3 months, I've been sort of doing coaching online. So using Zoom, talking to business owners about their struggles, and going through that. It's not easy. I like to meet face to face, but because of the health and safety measures, have to abide by the rules. So I guess it's made it much easier to connect straight away, and it does save time by driving somewhere in the office or driving to a cafe or a hotel to meet others. So it does help in terms of using tools. Zoom has been great. Teams have been great. Any sort of virtual technology has been great. So there's so many, but I do like Zoom. And I also get to talk to there's a few other charities that I'm part of. So I'm part of a church, but also part of another group who helps with vulnerable families. So helping at the moment, the charity I'm involved with, they're able to support vulnerable families with food parcels, with medication, with vouchers, to help them with power. We've helped them with so many huge families who are struggling because of COVID. So we get to do a lot of meetings, I guess, on Zoom and Teams to understand what are the challenges from the social impact of COVID. But also, I also have a social, also the business side, where there's also challenges there for business owners and coaching them through this period. So yeah, so it's challenging, but to answer your question, yes, technology has helped so much.
Okay, great. Ehsan here wants to know, do you have any plans to expand your coaching mentorship kind of services to other countries such as Malaysia?
Look, I was looking to come to Malaysia a few years ago. I spoke to you, Andrew. I said I know Ann Tam.
Yes.
So we're part of this business group, and I met her in Bali, and we had a Bali business school. So we went there with a group of 20 other business owners from all around the world. So I got to meet her. I met another guy, Stuart Patton, who was part of her group, and he planned for us, me and my wife, to come over to talk to do a sports academy type training with her school, but then COVID hit. So I guess I'm always open to opportunities to help to other countries. In fact, my wife used to live in Malaysia many years ago. So she has great memories, and so I was telling her to give me some Malaysian lessons, but she only gave me one, was the hello.
So it's great. You have already some form of a connection with Malaysia, and anytime at all. I mean, travel restriction is reduced so much now during the last couple of weeks for Malaysia, in fact. So we obviously do look forward to you coming over at any point in time. You're definitely most welcome. You and your wife, of course.
Of course, have to be. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a yes to the person's answer.
Okay, we have one last question here before I move on. Jonathan here wants to know, have you seen a huge drop-off in students due to COVID, or has the opposite been true? I suppose students here would perhaps mean your corporate lessons, your leadership classes, or has it increased during the pandemic?
I think there's some of I've been getting some contracts to help out with. I guess it's one of the challenges is getting them into is to find time because many people are at home. So it gets a bit messy with the admin stuff to organize the contract, organize the timings. But when it happens, it happens. It's quite good. But I guess the time now for many companies who are struggling through this COVID lockdown we are going through is to, I think the priority is their welfare, the well-being of their people. So I'm doing a training with one of the power companies, Mercury Power Company, so I'm doing some of the emerging leaders. So that'll be interesting. So just to understand their mindset, but I know that they're going to be quite engaged. They have a culture which is all about growth mindset. So it's been pushed by the head of learning and development, I think, and then they're going through that process. So they're very fond of using tools of technology tools. So I've just been planning out my sessions by making sure that they're able to not only listen but to collaborate. So yeah, it's always good to get them to collaborate because that's the most powerful thing. Get people, guys, the team doing things hands on. Get them to collaborate. Get in breakout groups and speak.
Definitely. Now, I want to move into something that you're working on, and I think it's something that is going to be released soon, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. Which is your book that you have on.
Yes. Thank you, Andrew. So this is the book I've been working on for a while now. So it's something I've spoken about, tackling transition, and I spoke about it as well in this talk. So I thought I'll write a book about it because it aligns with my values, it aligns with helping others, especially as well, especially with COVID, of many people finding new jobs, people being let go, people having to adjust, people starting businesses, people selling the business. But also it's a way of understanding that there is a way, that there are steps and guide. And this is a bit of a step-by-step guide to a new life after sports, because it is a new life, it is a new bubble, and when you leave the comforts of the sporting field, your mindset starts to open up.
Yeah.
But there's also 7 truths of a professional athlete that I had to hit hard. 7 truths which all athletes are very universal. That I talk about as well, which aligns with a lot of the steps. So I am looking forward to it. I'm just at the stage where I'm getting things done, the editing stage, and getting things, all sort of planned out for, and looking to release it in the new year, just to keep safe. With the lockdown happening in Auckland, it's slowed things down, but also it's giving me time to really think about it more, and also to launch it in the new year.
I'm definitely looking forward to the book when it launches during the new year.
No worries, I hope.
Yeah. So
this is my...
Yep, sorry. Go ahead, Filipo.
Sorry, yeah, so if you wanted to contact me, this is my details. This is my website, filipolevi.com. This is my number. If you want to call me from Malaysia, that's fine. You can give me a WhatsApp. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm quite active on LinkedIn, so do add me on there. I'm friends with Andrew, so you find Andrew, you'll find me. So please come along. Look, if anything I can help you with, sports-wise, business-wise, mentoring, rugby-wise, let me know.
Yeah. So fantastic, Filipo. As I was just going to say, when that slide pulls up, those are Filipo's contacts as well. And if you have missed it, it's absolutely fine, because just head to the platform rejuvenatemind.com. Under the speaker profile, you will get to see all those details again from Filipo. But if you want that number again and drop him a WhatsApp, you can always rewatch the session again right after this as well. So everything is in the platform as well. In any case, Filipo has got a wonderful website, filipolevi.com. Go and check it out. There are a couple of videos there of him during his playing days, and I cannot imagine being hit by Filipo on the field, you know, when he's charging at you at full force. I just cannot imagine that. Yeah. So Filipo,
thank you, Andrew.
without not gonna waste any more of your time. We have taken up your whole evening, and then obviously it's right about dinner now. And for you, I would really just once again like to say a big thank you to you for spending time with us, for supporting Rejuvenate Edition 5. It's not every day that we get such an illustrious athlete come on to the show and speak to us and share so much as well. So if ladies and gentlemen, you really like what he's talking about, you should find out more, and then obviously look forward to the book. And in fact, even in this short conversation that we've had, Filipo has shared a lot of gems, and if you know how to read between the lines and take what's important, you will really appreciate the kind of things that Filipo has been sharing with us. Lots of wisdom. And Filipo, I promise you I'll be learning that line that we talked about earlier in the conversation, and one day I'll definitely send you a voice message to let you know that I've successfully practiced that line for you.
I will practice a line as well that I'm trying to learn Malaysian word. Terima kasih. Kasih.
Yes, that's right.
Terima kasih.
Yes. Wonderful. So once again, Filipo, thank you so much for being with us. It's a real honor. It's really wonderful to have spoken with you and share so much during this short conversation. I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best for the book as well, and obviously for your leadership sessions with the corporate world, and even with the ex-players, and all your charity work that you've been doing, the community work and whatnot. Wonderful human being. Thank you so much.
Awesome, Andrew. Thank you very much. God bless.
All right. Take care. So, ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned with us. At 2:30, of course, we will have Larissa Maloney helping us to close edition 5, and as we wrap up the entire edition. It's been wonderful speaking to everybody. So do stay tuned. Take care. Bye-bye.